Hello, I'm Bob Trubshaw. In a previous video, Foxton locks around 1910, you mostly heard the voice of my maternal grandmother, Sarah, recorded in 1988. In this video, we hear about her life as a teenager, working hard on a farm just to the southwest of Foxton. Sarah was born in 1904, but when she was barely 5, her mother died giving birth to her youngest sibling. In 1910, Sarah was sent on the train, on her own but travelling in the guards compartment, from Twickenham to Market Harborough. She then lived with her grandparents, who were the lockkeepers at Bottom Lock Cottage at Foxton. In 1913, when Sarah was 9, her father married again, and Sarah went to live with her father and her brothers at Clipston in Northamptonshire. However, she did not get on well with her excessively strict stepmother. In 1917, Sarah turned 13 and left school. She went to live and work with a Mr. and Mrs. Glover, who had a farm to the southwest of Foxton. It was known as Bunkers Hill Farm, and situated to the southwest of the crossroads of Lawton Road and Bunkers Hill Road. Now, Bunkers Hill is a fairly common name for a farm, as it commemorates the Battle of Bunker Hill, which was fought on Saturday the 17th of June in 1775, during the Siege of Boston. This was the first stage of the American War of Independence, and the battle is named after Bunker Hill, which is in Charleston, Massachusetts, although it was only peripheral to the battle, and Hill takes its name from a family called Bunker. Sarah was at Bunkers Hill Farm for about 4 years. In 1921, at the age of 17, she went to live in Stonygut, a district of Leicester, to be the nanny for 2 daughters of a wealthy industrialist. Sarah's memories of her days at Bunkers Hill Farm were happy ones.
What were you actually doing on the farm when you were 13? What did you do for the lady?
I learned to make the butter and set the cream and everything. You see, it had to be set every day, ready to skim it, the milk to skim it off.
Yes.
And then once a week I used to make the butter, churn it in an old-fashioned churn.
Yeah, the ones that go over and over.
Over and over,
Yeah.
and if it, in the hot weather, if it didn't turn, you got to keep turning until it did. And I stood at that churn for hours. I have, and I was young, you know. But anyway, it didn't kill me, did it?
No.
And then I learned to make pork pies. Once a year, the farmers all round there kill their pigs, or 1 or 2. But the war came along, the First World War came along, and they were only allowed to kill 1 pig. The others got to go to
market,
you see. Well, and each farmer would help another, you see. They'd club together and help each other. And the haymaking. He's got 2 fields of hay, this farmer had, his name was Glover. And and I used to go and help make the hay, turn it with a fork, you see, turn it over so both sides dried. And then, and I don't do that now, of course. And then I used to take the tea to the farmers, whoever was helping each other, take them a big can of tea and sandwiches and things to eat, you see, for their tea. And I liked doing that. He'd got the 1 horse, the farmer had 1 horse. He used to do a bit of everything. He used to pull the rake for the haymaking, and that they had a rake, whatever they do. And then we used to go into market every Tuesday, and he got
that's Market Harborough.
That's Market Harborough, yes. And he got an open trap. Well, they used to sit with him at the front, and I used to sit in a seat at the back. And we had to go through the gates then, in those days, you see, the gated road. And I used to have to get down at each gate and open the gate, get back up, and off we'd go. It took ages to get it locked up. It did.
Were you actually taking stuff to sell, or you were just going in to buy things?
Oh yes, we used to take the fruit from the trees in the summer, and there was everything you could think of in the fruit line, and the apples in the autumn.
Soft fruit as well?
And
soft fruit as well as trees?
Yes, yes, there was...
Plums, pears?
Oh, they had beautiful strawberry bed. Oh, we used to have plenty of strawberries, as many as I could eat. And cream, of course, with it. There's plenty of cream. Oh, I really got strong and well.
In a part of the interview which was marred by noise from the tape recorder malfunctioning, Sarah described cycling around the nearby villages to deliver the butter. Seemingly she spent Thursday mornings churning the butter, then weighing and packing it, before setting off the same afternoon to deliver it. But while out delivering, she chatted to various people she got to know. I interviewed Sarah 3 times during May and June in 1988, In between my visits, she would remember things she wanted to tell me.
Oh, and when I was at Bunkers Hill, I forgot to tell you about the nuts. Now there they grew every nut you could think of. There was a big tree in the paddock outside the house, walnuts, real walnuts.
Yes.
And there was hazelnuts in the gardens at the back, little cracking nuts, you know, those little tiny ones, and filbert nuts. There was everything you could think of in the nuts line. But there wasn't anyone else that I ever knew that grew them like that. We used to go into market, you see, get them and when it was ready to harvest them, and take them into Market Harbour and sell them. He'd got his own customers, you see, at Market Harbour. And we used to go in on a Tuesday to market. Always had a cup of tea or a snack to tide us over till we got back home, in West Cafe, middle of the town, facing the church.
The First World War started while Sarah was still at Clipston, but she moved to Bunkers Hill Farm before the war had ended.
When you were at Clipston, was that about when the First World War started?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you aware of much changes then?
No, not in the country, because we got all plenty of food, you see. I knew war had broke out because we were talking, you see, and we had a teacher talk and that, but we didn't realise it was so serious.
No.
Not till a family, then my father took the boys to train them on the land as they left school, you see, and they had a big family of boys. Well, he came home one day and he said to my stepmother, such and such a one had been killed. And that struck me then, you see, that it was a war. I didn't realise till then. Lost 4 sons in that war, they did. Like my Uncle George, he lost 4 sons. All his sons went. We didn't have to go short of anything, although we were rationed for meat, she said, like that, yes, but we didn't have to go short because there was plenty living in the country, you see, on the land there was plenty to eat. But it must have been hard lines for those who weren't, you know, who lived in the towns and cities, yes.
Sarah was living in the Bronston district of Leicester when the Second World War broke out. She was bringing up my mother, Diana, who was 16 when the war ended, and a younger son, Derek. My mother recalled that they didn't have to worry overly about rationing, as parcels would quite often arrive from Sarah's relatives living in the villages around Market Harbour. It was not exceptional for a dead rabbit to be sent in the post. In the later years of her life, Sarah moved to Kibworth Court in Kibworth Beecham, where these recordings were made.